Okay, so what were we gonna do today? Can we talk a little bit about your burnout experience and how you overcame it with those exercises? Or what did you
Yes,
want to do today?
we can speak briefly. Well, that was yeah, in 2008. Yeah. Yeah,
Or
we
do
can
you want to
speak.
have? Yeah,
We can
that would
speak
be good
briefly
for me
about it.
to get to know what your main issues were or are, and then I can decide which would be the best process to do to help you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes, we can talk about that situation in 2008. Yes, where I
Okay.
started to do the exercises and
Yeah.
started to regain the energy.
All right. Am I recording or not?
It
I
says
think I am.
your session is being recorded.
Okay. Is that okay with you? If it's something that we don't like, we can just delete it. But I'm practicing how to use video and yeah. Is that okay, or I don't have to
No,
record?
yes, that's okay.
The light on your face is a bit low, and you're not sitting in the middle. Yeah, that's better.
Just a
Okay.
second. Let me see. Let me see if I can turn on the light. Just a second. Is it better?
Yes.
Is it better now?
Yes, it's better. Yeah. Okay, I can also test. No, I don't know. I mean, if my sound is good. I only have the option computer audio or phone call. So that's why it didn't work when I used my microphone. So I'll mess it up now. Okay, start. So I'm Dr. Veerle van Tricht, and I'm on a mission to help people overcome burnout, and I also would like to help professionals to avoid even can get burnout, especially medical students. That's when I had burnout the first time, when I had to work 14 days a night in a row. And then the next morning I was supposed to write an exam, but I just couldn't get out of bed. My body wouldn't move. I could hardly speak. So that was my first experience of burnout. And I'm talking to Jose and his experience and what he did to overcome it. So go ahead, Jose. What did you
Hello.
experience?
Good morning, Dr. Veerle. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you about my experience. It was almost 11 years ago, 2008, around November, December, if I remember. Um, I was um, I was working for a very big international information technology company that had bought the company where I worked before, and I had separated from the mother of my kids around 6 months before, and I had started a new relationship some 4 months before the November December time frame, and at work they wanted to send me to work in Spain. So maybe my subconscious thoughts were that I was going to be away from my kids, that I was seeing much less than before because they didn't live with me permanently anymore, and also with my new girlfriend. So maybe that has created a subconscious traumatic shock or something similar. I don't know exactly what happened, but what was happening was that I could work from home because my manager was not in Portugal; he was in Spain, and around 3 p.m. I would start to feel completely drained out of energy without any energy at all. So I had to go to bed and sleep, and that went on for several days and probably weeks. And I started to think that if I let that continue like that for much more time, it could lead me to probably depression, which I have had when I was 18, when my dad suddenly died in a car accident. So that was a thought that became conscious, and I thought, well, I don't want to go into depression, because I remember that I was, for 1 year and a half or 2 years, I was complete dumb and almost like a zombie. I had medication and I couldn't feel or be functioning properly, and I had to go to school, but I wanted to isolate and move away from people at that time. So going into depression was a thought that I didn't want to materialize in real life again.
Yeah.
And luckily, my girlfriend had a book with some exercises from an old Japanese doctor, Dr. Tomio Kikuchi, that was one of the early promoters of macrobiotics in the world. He lived in Brazil. And this book was about a set of exercises that can give you much more flexibility and energy. So I didn't go to any psychiatrist or psychologist or any other doctor, and what I did was to start doing several exercises in the morning, especially one of them which is in English probably called a roll up or something like that. So you are lying down on the floor, your feet are in the front, and what you do is, let me see, I can show this, is you start rolling back and forward. And this activates several acupressure or with the needles. I don't remember the name.
Acupressure points.
Yeah, in your back or your spine.
Yeah.
And probably it started to release the energy blocks that I was experiencing. So I don't remember exactly in how much time, but probably in 2 or 3 weeks, maybe a month or less. I don't remember how much time it took, but I started to feel much more energized again, and I started to have my...
Can I just interrupt you, because I found a video that you sent me, and maybe I can show this. That's the exercise you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's
and
the
you
exercise.
did that about 100 times or something.
Yeah, now I do it around 100 times in the morning.
I guess when you're really tired, you can't even do it that often. You probably
Yeah,
have to
when
build
you
up.
are really tight, you cannot do it because uh, you cannot reach with your foot behind your back.
Yeah, yeah,
But the trick to do these exercises is to do them without any effort and just using
yeah,
the natural flow of and movement of your body.
yeah,
Uh, and I learned recently this year by attending Dr. Joe Dispenza workshop in Brussels in
yeah,
February that he has a meditation where he suggests people to contract all the perineum area, so the like the base chakra area, and
yeah,
uh, uh, inhaling like you were sucking the drink from a straw. So and pulling the energy up over your system
yeah.
until your head. And what
Mm-hmm.
that does is to start to release the energy blocks in your base chakra, which you mentioned that is where your most traumatic experiences are stored and where the energy is stored and where you are probably in
Right.
survival mode or huge stress. So you are in a fight or flight mode, and that stops you from having
Yeah.
energy
So
to.
according to Dr. He, which part of the body does he think most of the traumatic memories are stored?
So it's like the here in the base chakra around the genital area and also in your gut area. So those two areas are
Yeah,
where your traumatic experiences are stored and your
yeah.
energy blocks are stored. So
Experience
what?
also in the hips. The
So
hips are
what?
also very important. That's why when we do emotional release, trauma release, it has to do with a lot of shaking of the hips to release. And it's the same area that you work on then to shake out traumatic memories. But when we do
Okay.
journey sessions, people can have a pain in the neck, which is, a traumatic relationship. And there's the body can store anywhere. But yeah, you're right. Your worst traumas will probably be stored around the base chakra. So that makes sense. It's actually the Kundalini energy that you
Yes, exactly.
bring up through your
About,
back to your head and then back down again. It's that Kundalini energy that you circulate. So yeah, I understand that. Okay, so you already said you were very tired and you were bordering on becoming depressed again, and then you didn't perform that well. Well, you gave up your job, didn't you?
no. So luckily I was not. I was able to continue working from Portugal and not go to Spain. But my performance
Okay.
was really low because I
Yeah.
couldn't work for more than 2 or 3 hours together, and then I had
Mm.
to go to bed. But what I realized this
Yeah.
year is that these exercises, these rolling exercises, and that meditation from Dr. Joe Dispenza, they have a similar uh, effect because what they do is they activate or unblock energy in the same areas and in the Kundalini area
Yeah.
which you said, and start to
Mm.
move the energy up across your chest and your back up to your head
Mm-hmm.
and to your brain. And so the
Yeah.
exercise
Mm-hmm.
does exactly that because you start to bring up your abdominal area up. So the energy that stacks makes the energy flow along your chest to your head. that was really an interesting finding that I have had this year, because I thought it was only because of the acupressure points around the spine that weren't blocking the energy, but it was also due to the elevation of the hip and kundalini area higher than your head. So, and probably combining the meditation with this exercise is even more powerful. And probably you have other suggestions, as you mentioned, to shake or to have like a uncontrolled dance or ecstatic dance or whatever exercises you can do to shake up your hip area, to shake up your kundalini area, to make this energy flow out of
I'm sure there's different ways of physically releasing that, but what do you do when memories come up? Because I don't think you can just shake it out and it's gone forever, because I think there might be still some memory left even after you do that. So do you also, I mean, I believe we need to like say for showing me this, and this is like an opportunity to heal events from your past, because I see a story that you got feelings of burnout when you thought you had to leave your children and your partner, and then you spoke about how you suddenly lost your father. So obviously you have the trauma of your father leaving, and you were about to do the same to your partner and if you would have accepted the job to go abroad. So I think there's a link between those two memories that came up. So possibly trigger here and trauma of losing your father, that event. Do you understand? And that's why I would like to do a process with you, not now because we're talking about burnout, but maybe later, where we heal both of the events together and permanently try and let go of that so that I can't get triggered again.
Yes,
I mean, if you think that's useful, that's something that I'd like to suggest.
Yeah, we can certainly talk about that later. And one of the ways, besides that psychotherapy I had after my father passed away, what I remember using was to start forgetting, because it was a car accident. So I started to, I don't know why, unconsciously block when I saw car accidents on the road, or when I was watching a movie and that there was a car accident or something that initially immediately activated my traumatic memories of the car crash. And what my subconscious mind probably started to do was to act, to create a block to access those memories by forgetting progressively about that and suppressing emotions, probably. And that
and that also leads to exhaustion when you suppress
probably yes.
It's very tiring to
I didn't realize that had that impact on me so many years later. And I at that time I didn't make a link between that, so probably that's what happened. And thank you for bringing that link that I didn't consider that was happening.
Yeah, the subconscious mind secretively in stealth mode. So yeah, and then you got burnout, and then you didn't have to go. So exhaustion you for having to go work in a different country.
No, luckily, as I said, I started to have more energy, and the company was changing a lot, and they had since there was a merger, and they were in a very unstable phase and transition phase. Luckily, I was able to continue working from from Portugal, and some 4 or 5 months later, I applied to another job in the company that allowed me to continue working in Portugal, and that situation was resolved. So luckily, I was able just using physical movement at the time to release
Keep going.
the energy and keep going. Yes.
Yeah. Wow, you're very lucky because I mean, people who don't get out of burnout, they generally lose their job, lose their income, they because when you get really, really tired, you kind of become very easily agitated and angry at other people at work and at home. So they often end up divorced, losing their job, ruining their career, and then of course and then it can lead to a lot more diseases because the immune system goes down, so you can get all kinds of weird infections. So yeah, it could have, I mean, it can get really, really bad. I had a few colleagues of mine who were so tired they just dropped dead at a young age. So I'm happy you got yourself out of that situation quite quickly because it can be really devastating. At that time when you think you had burnout, do you think were you also having trouble? I mean, I know you slept in the afternoon, but did you wake up at night worrying, or did you
Honestly, I
sleep
don't
well at
remember.
night? Okay.
Probably I had some ruminating thoughts about what was going to happen if I
Yeah.
went to Spain. Probably I had
Yeah.
that,
See. Yeah.
but what I think it was um, useful for me is that I didn't let it last for a long time before starting to do the exercises. Otherwise, I could
Mhm.
have much more severe consequences, as you mentioned. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. So you are you are doing some other work at the moment, right? Helping people to be successful. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So my activities in coaching is to help people understand that at least in a very small area or topic they are for sure successful. And my goal with my brand, yes, you ensure success, is exactly to help people find that it can even be a very small thing where they have an hobby or they feel enthusiastic about something, and they probably are successful in that area, and expanding from that you can start to apply that to other areas in your life little by little, and people can have a more an increasing feeling of being successful in other areas as well. So using coaching, but also eventually sometimes explaining to them how the brain works and what can be happening in their brains or minds to that is blocking them.
Yeah. Okay. And people can reach you on your website?
No, I don't have a website, but they can reach me on my email, which is yes.youensuresuccess@gmail.com, or they can follow me in my
Okay.
Facebook and LinkedIn pages, Jose De Sousa. So it's fairly easy to reach me.
Okay. And do you have any messages? Like, what's your most powerful message that you would like to give to people?
So my message to people is to pay attention to your feelings. Do not try to hide them or forget them, or emotions, because if you do that, you can start to, without you wanting, start to block your natural flow of energy, and that can lead to very severe
Your life
consequences. As
force.
yeah, your life force can really be severely impacted, because emotions are not good or bad. They just need to be expressed, and if you don't do that, the energy and the big effort that you are doing to suppress the emotions also block your energy. And if you don't know
Absolutely.
that, you will
That
start
is a
to
very
notice.
powerful message, especially, oh, I've got cat hair flying around it. To men who have been taught for centuries that, just suck it up and not allowed to show their emotions
Yeah,
traditionally. And that's why I find when you do an emotional journey with men, I mean, if they're willing there is a lot of stored up emotions that they're holding on to, and it doesn't help anybody to go through life successfully, healthily. So yeah, that is a very powerful message. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah. Like for
I'm
instance, when you say when we are told a boy doesn't cry or a man doesn't cry, it's what we are programming in our subconscious minds, is that we need to suppress our emotions, and that's not good.
I mean, it goes for women too. It depends on how they were brought up. When it was not cool for a child to cry when they had pain or anything. I mean, I was brought up like that. Like even when I fell badly and my knees were all open, and my mother getting at me for hurting myself. So I've taught myself that to suppress physical pain and pain, because always my mother was always angry at me when I expressed any emotions. So it's a good example of how you can get burnout, because then you ignore all the signals of your body when your body
Yes.
says, wait a moment, your body gives you signals by pain or something wrong, that you should rest, that you shouldn't be lifting heavy things or whatever. And if you learn to ignore those messages, that is like the how it's not only the emotions, it's also the physical signs you get from your body, that we should acknowledge that. As I gave the example before, like a pain in the neck is often, it means that there's some in your environment that you're having problems with. For instance,
Okay.
uh, just we acknowledge the wisdom of our body and acknowledge our emotions more, so we
Yes.
can like be really clear about what's happening. And yeah, that's what I would like to do with you, to go to do a journey where we can heal the traumatic events that we discussed today, if you want. I mean, it's just an experiment, so you can feel what it's like. And thank you very much for sharing your story here. If it's okay, I'll stop the recording then.